In progress. So welcome everyone back to part 2 of Digital Marketing Bootcamp. Quick overview of what we're going to talk about today is we're going to just recap on some of the goals and objectives that we did last week to just give us a fresh start on the new section, because it is a continuation of day 1. And then we're going to dive into tactics. What are they, and what will they look like for you? And using the scenario Company Garden Grows, we're going to see some examples. And then we'll have a timeline. And there's also a bit of a bonus that I've stuck in, because we have to consider content and social media as part of your tactics, and how can you plan them? What kind of tools are available? So we're going to talk about those. And then a quick note on budget. And then at the end, we don't want this to be over. So you guys are going to put together your plan and know that you're going to have support, and we're going to continue our learning for digital marketing and support you as you build out your digital marketing plan. So I do want to start it with a quote that I thought was appropriate for today. And a goal is a dream with a deadline. All of you have dreams. You're entrepreneurs. You're here. You have this vision of what you want for your company and what this digital marketing plan is going to do. It's going to help put together those tactics, the plan, set those goals so that you can achieve them on the deadlines that you want for your business. So I hope this inspires you and sets the stage for today. We're going to talk a little about how sailing can be used to understand this a little better later on. So there's some questions. What information did you find most helpful on day 1? I'm curious on what that information was. Was it the executive summary, background situation analysis? The polls should be coming up now. Did the SWOT information help? Was it business goals, marketing goals and objectives, or was it insights about target audiences? I'll be curious to know what was helpful. And has it started? Okay, yep, please, if you guys can do that, just give me a background on where to focus on today and if more information is needed. And then as you did your digital marketing plan, what were the challenges in the sections that you found? And maybe you haven't started much and you just thought about it, but what was those sections that you found challenging, you didn't quite get your head wrapped around it and not sure how to apply it to your business? Is it doing the background scan, SWOT, business goals, marketing goals and objectives, or is it that target audiences? And this will help focus through this session today, but also for future. Just we'll be interested. So it looks like what was helpful was marketing goals and objectives. Good, because that is really important. And today you're going to see why, because those marketing goals and objectives, if you're not clear what those are, you're not going to know what tactics to use. And it's also going to help you know whether you're successful. So that has to be very clear. So I'm glad that was helpful. An executive summary, and do that at the end too. But having a strategy as part of that and gives you an idea of how you're going to move forward and how this is going to support your business, which is really important, because marketing can go off and that you have to always make sure you bring it back to those business goals. And then, so that's over. So 47% said marketing goals and objectives were helpful, 18% SWOT, and 18% executive summary. Super. And is the second question up, Amanpreet?
Yep, it's up there.
Oh, it's up there too? Oh, I have to scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, lessons learned here. So target audiences were the most challenging. Oh, we are going to talk a little more about that. SWOT might be something that you as a business owner has to spend a lot of time going over yourself individually. But do remember, strength and weaknesses is more of what you have internally. Opportunities and threats are what's happening out in the world. What are those opportunities for your business? What are those potential risks and things that can happen? Is it a competitor? Is it new technology that's coming that can be competing? All of those things as opportunities and threats, and that will change potentially, which is why you do need to review this annually. Strengths and weaknesses are those skills that you have or lack. Budget concerns is usually a big thing, and what that'll do is it will help you formulate what tactics you can use based on those. So SWOT is something you can follow up with me afterwards, and if it comes up in today's session, please bring it forward if that is applicable. And background and situation analysis, really 18% of you said that was a challenge. And that really is just a scan of what's going on to give you an idea before you jump into it. It's the current situation, what are competitors doing, what's the industry, what's politically happening. And right now, COVID is one of the big factors that plays into this. So you just want to know what's going on in your industry to help you formulate the tactics moving forward. And target audiences, we're going to talk about that. And Amanpreet's an expert in the world of target audiences too. So we will come together and help you understand who they are. And that's a learning thing. You really want to get into the headspace and the behaviors of your target audiences, because that is going to inform you on all of your tactics, all of your content, everything you do, even from a business perspective, and it's an ongoing learning process. So we're going to touch on that today. Yet again. Okay, good. Let's get going. Quick review, executive summary of Garden Grows. We're going to go through what we talked about last week. Just as a reminder, because part of what they have a website, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and a blog, but they haven't had a lot of engagement. And that's a good place to start because we know they already have that. And they do have some budget. They're going to hire someone to oversee it, but they have an internal team. So this is going to influence the tactics that we have, and we're going to show you that coming up. So their business goal is to increase their revenue. Everything, bottom line, they just need to make more money. And they're at that beginning peak season, right? So this is where timeline, this is the background and situation analysis. Where are you right now in your timeline? What is the challenges that you have? What do you need to prioritize, which is going to influence your decision on how you're going to press forward? And what are your competitors doing, right? So all of a sudden, all their competitors are online, and they've only kind of been dabbling in online world, so they need to get themselves moving. So this is part of that situational analysis. And what is their business goal? As a reminder, they need to make money. So what do they have to do for marketing? They have to let people know that they're there. They have to increase brand awareness to drive more customers to their store. And they can provide resources for their customers. And how is this going to directly respond to the business goal? And the fact that if they're an informed client, then they're going to be able to go, oh, hey, I need that product, or hey, it's available. All of those things, they're going to be better gardeners. They're going to be better clients. That's the idea. And improve customer service, well, they're going to come back. That's the whole idea. But they're also going to go online is the plan to tell other people how great it is, because we do know that people review online reviews and they talk to people. So those are the three key goals we're going to talk about, and all the tactics are going to be built around that. And so they're going to drive traffic to the website. They're going to increase their followers on Facebook and Instagram, because we do know they have those two, and they're just going to build it out. And we want more people to find them through their online channels. The resources that we're going to give to them is going to provide them solutions to help them with their buying decisions. It lets them, they're just going to be more informed. But if we can automate that learning and that top of the funnel, then they don't have to have staff talking about those basic questions too. They're just going to come in and they're going to buy, so it's quicker turnover. So what do we want to do for that is we want to really push out email to reach these people. We're going to build out all of this content, push it out through email, and they're going to just constantly create content and share it. So that's a key part of the drivers there. And customer service, they're going to increase the opportunities for engagement, and they really want to get those online reviews. How they're going to do it is what we're going to talk about today. So to recap on that target audience persona, A lot of this, just remember when you're gathering this information, some of it can be online, secondary research, you've gone through industry stats. The other things, if you're an existing company, a lot of it comes from in-house and your own knowledge. And maybe you're new to the business, but you're coming with industry expertise. So if you were a gardener for years and you've been a customer, you potentially have insight into this audience. So you can gather insight there. And then you're going to continue to learn based on putting things out there. What kind of content do they like? All of those types of things. And then call people and talk to people. Hey, what do you like to do? And how often do you shop for your gardening stuff? And the key sections that is going to inform your content development and your tactics is going to be that buyer behavior. So what kind of dollar value is price important to them? How far will they drive? If they like to entertain, moderate to luxury lifestyle is what they have. Because what that's going to do too is going to say, wow, if they like to entertain, then I'm going to potentially develop content to show them how the garden can look for certain type of entertainment. So you're going to do content, maybe you're going to interview someone, and all of this, when you're getting ideas for your content, you're going to come forward to here and go, oh, that's right. Because if they're not entertaining people, then if you bring forward content in that regard, it's just not going to resonate with them. You're not going to build your reputation. It's not going to drive them to sales. So knowing their behaviors is really important, and what kind of media that they use. Because if you're out there on Pinterest and they're not on Pinterest, it's not much good. So really, really know what kind of things that motivate them to buy, as well as where they get their information. And that will be the same for your secondary audience. Because this person, for example, if they have a smaller space and maybe they're in an apartment, you're potentially going to do content for small gardens. You know, maybe you do patio gardens and you talk like that. And then what you're going to do too is you've identified that this is a retiree between 60 and 80. If you're going to do an ad or you're going to create content for this audience, are you going to put someone in there that's 20 years old? Well, probably not, because you're trying to target that audience and they want to see themselves in that situation. That's where it starts to resonate. Doesn't mean that you can't ever do it, because younger people have small apartments, but you have to stay focused. If your audience is retirees, they're in small spaces, and they're the ones you want to come in through your door, then you make sure that you use the language, that you use the medium that to where they're going to get the information, as well as those visuals. So be clear, and the clearer you can get in your target audience, the easier it will be to develop your tactics, your content, your social, the style, and it will all come around to the end. So that's target audience, a little bit extra in that world. So tactics, what is a tactic? So it is what you need to do to accomplish your goals and objectives. A tactic is something you do to move you closer to where you need to be, to your goal. And the first step you need to do on what that is evaluate past efforts. If you have been doing this, definitely, and that's part of your situational scan. And then look for those opportunities. So you go back at the beginning and go, okay, so I currently have a Facebook page. Groups are something that I found really helpful. That's where my audience is. I'm going to focus on Facebook groups. And that's part of that evaluation situational scan, because you only have so much time and so much money. You want to get your tactics as focused as possible to help you reach your goals. So before you get started, remember we talked about that situational scan, what worked in the past, and does this align with your marketing strategy? Remember we talked about the business plan right at the beginning and your sales and marketing strategy. If all of a sudden you've done an initial scan and it's going off somewhere else, you're going, but that's not really helping me reach my marketing goals, let alone my business goals. And then brand considerations, style, tone, And what brand channels are currently in place? Remember, that's when we did that situational scan. What do they have? Because to start a new channel takes a lot of work. But sometimes it means jumping to another channel if it makes sense. But you have to see what works and what doesn't work. And then what's the industry norm? Is that where your target audience is? And then what did we learn about our target audiences? We just did a whole discussion about for that one audience in the garden grows. And those are all those things that those questions that we just talked about. That's what you have to do for your business. Some more guiding questions is what content you already have. So if you currently have a presentation that you did, if you're a B2B, and you just did a presentation or you did a webinar like this, what do I currently have that I can leverage to support my marketing goals? So if I said, okay, so I want to get more people in this field and I have photos, I have videos, I have things like that, can I bring this together for a white paper that I can now ask for downloads to do some lead generation? And that's where you have to do kind of a bit of an audit. Media opportunities, is there things happening out there? What is there, newspapers that have gone digital? Is there radio opportunities? What's happening in your environment and in your industry, local or national, depending on what your goals are? Any changes to business activities? That could be a product launch. That could be a situation where it may be something negative has happened and you go, oh my goodness, I need to pivot. I need to do this. Business activities could be COVID situation, right? All of a sudden now it's like, okay, I can't sell. I can't sell in person as easily as I can do it online. So all of a sudden now I need to go online. I need to create some product photography. I need to have a whole strategy on shopping cart channels and things like that. So those are things that you want to know before you get into your tactics. Event opportunities. Is there a chance to support a community, a charity event? Is there a chance to co-market with some like-minded people that are out there? And then if there is a group of people, like artists in the area that are going, okay, we need to do this, we need to do this, can we put this event together? All of a sudden, that's a tactic you can work together. So look for those event opportunities, co-sponsoring, co-working, also joining potential as a sponsor or creating an event yourself. And stories of success that you can share are always good because that's testimonials, that can be case studies. People always want to know what you've done and how people have responded to the work you've done. And that for B2B, case studies are really important business to business. For someone like Garden Grows, it's going to be those online reviews. Whoops, a little fast there. Digital advertising, do you have budget? What's working, what's not working? Is Facebook ads the industry norm? Do a scan of those types of things. If Facebook is your channel of choice, Facebook or Instagram, because you don't even have to have Instagram to be able to advertise there if you have a Facebook. But all of those things you have to go and learn about the channel, about the advertising on it, and whether that's where your audience is. And search engine optimization, always make sure that you have some level of strategy in place for that, because that will be, website is your hub, right, of everything. So you want people to find you online. Have you built out your website properly? Have you thought about backlinks from directories? Is everything updated in the place that they should be in? And that if you don't have that in place, it's not going to optimize it for when you do your tactics that are out there. So just make sure that that is something that you think about. And are you leveraging influencers? And that's a really big thing, is influencers, but it doesn't need to be a huge tactic. It may be one of your primary if you've identified that influencers are important. And we are going to talk about Garden Grows because gardeners listen to other gardeners and they want to see them in action, and they have quite a network potentially. So it's like, okay, this makes sense, and maybe I will pay them to do this. In the sports world, when I had the bike shop, we had racers that we sponsored, and that was really important. And not just because we identified the fact that even if people weren't racers, they loved hanging out with the people that were racing. And they loved to be part of the club that where they see their jersey up there with on the podium with their guys. So it was a real camaraderie thing and a community building thing. So we did invest in that. So that happens a lot in the sports world. So know your industry, know if it makes sense, and know what kind of strategy you want to put in place. Because sometimes it doesn't even take a lot of money. Like for my race team, it wasn't like I paid them, but I gave them parts and bikes and stuff like that and free service at cost. So that was enough for them. So you kind of have to know what works and what doesn't, and it has to make sense. So that could be a tactic that you use informally or more structurally. Okay, so here's an example. Do we have any questions though before I run into this on what a tactic is?
No, not at this moment.
Oh, we're good. Oh, hey, Brittany, you're here.
Hey.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Amin's just going to bring the questions forward. That would be great. So let's use this example for garden grows in the fact that we're going to categorize these first. So social media is going to be, we've identified she has social media. They want to create a tactic, different tactics under social media. So one is Facebook. Why Facebook? Because they've, they have it, the industry, they did their homework. They know that this is something that they want to focus on. And so the strategy is going to be, how often are you going to post? What kind of content themes are you going to talk about? The types of content that you're going to use, and are you going to advertise, and when are you going to advertise? This is very high level. We're going to get into the weeds of it a little bit down, but you want to start big first, and don't get discouraged. Just start filling out the sections in your template. And with things like this, Instagram, so the different platforms have different algorithms, different strategies that are best practice. So get to know what that is. And that's where webinars like this, our different social media ones coming up, is really important to keep learning, because they do get updated. A lot of the platforms themselves stay in touch with what's happening so that you can pivot when you need to, but it's going to influence how often that you're going to post as well. So Instagram, we want to post daily. Content, we're going to say, and we've put it up in Facebook, very similar type of content, because I'll show you why in a little bit. The themes that we're going to, that you want to focus on themes, and then the types of content and advertising. So when we say frequency daily, this is why I don't want you to get too caught up in things, because you're going to learn as you go. And we don't need it to be perfect. We just need to have an idea to the part where we're going to plan. So Instagram, you may decide, I'm going to do stories daily, but maybe we're just going to post on my grid once or twice a day, or once or twice a week. So all of these will get flushed out when we get into the planning stage. LinkedIn, are we going to do that? No, it doesn't make sense for this organization. We're just going to say no. And Pinterest for sure. And why Pinterest? Well, it's visual, right? And flowers and gardening stuff is a very visual product. And we also have identified that our target audience is there. So that's what they're going to do. What kind of content are they going to create? And this is where you can get into what boards. So you can create different boards within Pinterest. You really kind of want to know a little bit about what that's going to be. But right now, high level. And then you can even put in examples of your competitors to keep an eye on what they're doing, and you can actually create another column. This is just a template. Feel free to build it out and customize it for what you want. Website is key. We've identified that they have one. They just needs to be updated and reviewed and make sure it's all working well. And that's where we talk about the SEO strategy. So we want to make sure when your guests, your visitors land there, that it's working. Because I'll tell you, what was the ultimate goal is we want to make money. So if we, as marketing, we drive traffic to the website and they get there and they can't buy from you, we have just defeated our purpose. Ultimately, everything you do has to go back to that business goal, and it's about making money for these guys. So that's the whole idea. I mean, it's all of us, but that was their main business goal that we're supporting. So when we get there, we want to make it as easy as possible for them to purchase. And then we're going to create a calendar page because local gardening events, hey, we're going to promote that. And that's all things that are happening that are out there. And a landing page for the mailing list, because we have identified that that garden club sign up, that email campaign is a tactic we want to focus on. Landing pages, yes. So the core pages, I just broke it out there for the sign up for the garden club, but you're going to actually have to create an email campaign thing within email as well. I think it comes down a little later. So blog's going to be housed on the website. So we're going to do weekly blogs. We're going to talk about similar themes, similar topics overall. Holidays, FAQs, all of those things that are going to answer those questions. Remember, we talked about the content funnel to drive them through to purchasing. What is that information they need to actually make a proper buying decision? And then the SEO is just a strategy to make sure all of our directory listings are updated and submitting sitemaps to search engines. All of those types of things are pretty basic SEO, but when we get busy, if we don't put it in as part of our plan, it tends to not happen. So make sure when you're writing out your digital marketing plan, such as this, in the template that you include all of these major things or little things that you might overlook. Directories, we talked about that. Local industry, Google My Business. Please, everyone, take heart. This is not just for these guys. Make sure your Google My Business is updated, especially now during COVID when people are looking online to even see if you're open and how to do business with you. So please, please, please make sure that's updated. Digital ads, how are you going to do it? Are you going to do Google ads? Not right now, but they're going to do Facebook. And then they're going to evaluate in the future. So even if you decide not to do something, say why in the strategic session and when to make a note to evaluate and rethink it. This will just help you stay focused on what to do next steps. Influencer marketing, employees are a key influencer as well. Make sure you consider those. And they can be contact, if you don't have direct employees, think of subcontractors or different things too and how they can be leveraged. But we did identify with these guys that they have an internal team. Email marketing, make sure it's set up with your landing page, your welcome. So step back when you do this and think of it from your customer's perspective, from end to end. So email marketing, we're going to pull that out, and in and of itself, it's going to have its own strategy. This is high level, and you might want to create nested strategies even within this. So email marketing, do we have the landing page on the website? Do we have a place for them to sign up? Have we considered Castle? Where are we going to have them sign up? When they get there, do they get a welcome email that, hey, I've subscribed? What is the plan? So make sure that the user experience is considered for all of your tactics. So this is a high level, but then you're going to want to pull it out and be more detailed. And then this has been identified too, that they're going to do a contest. Remember, we looked for opportunities. Hey, it's slow during the summer months, July and August. So let's keep them going. Let's do a contest, showcase everyone's gardens because they're at their prime, and put it online and have a contest. And then maybe they need some more product to keep it fertilized. How do we deal with drought through the summer? What's the right plants to have, and how do you prune them to make them look great? All of that is to keep them interested, still purchasing, but all of a sudden they don't get lost. And then when you're ready for fall season, if that's another driver on your key dates, we're going to talk about key dates, then they're there. So as you build out your timeline, you're going to see why this is all important. Trade shows, networking, different events. Are you going to do different events? In-store promotions, media, PR. So think of this like a brain dump. It's a brainstorming session because what I'm saying, this is not set in stone. This is about working through your plan, because you're going to put things down here and go, okay, this makes sense, this makes sense. But as you move forward in your plan and you start to create a timeline, you start to look at what budget and resources we have. Am I going to be able to do this? So you might get right to the very end and realize when you look at that timeline and how much time and energy it's going to take to make it happen, you might come right back to here and go, I can't do it all. And that's okay. And then you're going to have information to inform you on how to update those tactics. Because what might happen is you don't have budget or time, or one of your staff goes on holidays in the middle of the summer and you go, I don't have enough time to do a contest. So I'm going to leave it for the summer and I'm going to do fewer things and I'm going to do it well. And we're going to make a note in my strategy to consider this for next year. So this is, don't get stuck here without moving to your next sessions. Just start putting things down. So talked about themes. And that is your overall, this is really important because once we have our tactics, which is our channels and our strategy high level, we need content, right? To fill those, to keep things going, to support them. And it's really important in your digital marketing plan that you have this content marketing strategy. And what that is foundational is knowing what those themes are. And that goes back to your target audience, right? What's important to them? What do they want to hear from you? Do they want to know about product? Yeah, because I need to understand what products you have to purchase from you. How do I use the product? Is there holiday themes around it? Well, when it comes to these guys, we know that the May 24 weekend is a big key date because that's when it's gardening time. Easter's really important when it comes to flowers, purchasing flowers. Christmas time has poinsettias. So all of those holidays is an important thing to start to let them know about those. Gardening tips, absolutely. That's the how-to. And then most of the time behind the scenes is a really good theme. Whether it's not a content theme, but it's going to inform, we're going to do behind the scenes throughout all of our content. And then from the theme, we come down and we think main content. What's that big stuff that we have to create? And then we can start building out smaller stuff. We're going to do live Facebooks once a week. Ooh, could be aggressive, but let's start because we're putting it down there and we'll see if we can do this. We're going to do how-to videos. We're going to do a photo contest. Okay, at this point, we still believe we're going to do a photo contest, and that's okay because we think we still have time until it's proven otherwise. And they're going to do blog posts. So then from that main content, we'll be able to get snackable or micro content or repurposed content. You'll hear a lot of that different kind of language, but basically it's that main content that takes a lot of time and potential resources to create. And then how do we repurpose it to keep it going? And those are going to be things that we're going to share on Instagram and Facebook and create those wonderful Pinterest boards. And then how are we going to supplement? How are we going to promote all of this content? Because we have to pay to play. And where are those key things? Because if I'm going to put money out, I want to make sure it's going to be effective. So we're going to have strategic times throughout the year or throughout when we do our main content that we're going to put some money behind it. And it's probably for these guys, it's going to be right before their holiday season, the May 24 weekend or that big gardening weekend. They've identified they want Easter as an important one. Mother's Day is right around there too. And as the timeline comes out, we're going to also talk about fall and Christmas as well. And this is a template. Please feel free to use it. I think it's one of those things that you might want to print out and just jot things down. And it's just to keep everything on one page, right? What's that business goal? What are the marketing goals? Where does this fit that you're supporting? Key metrics, key channels, those themes. And this is a one pager. And what's your monthly budget? Because developing your content is takes budget, because if you don't have the manpower to be able to do it, or writing potentially isn't your strong suit, or taking videos, you may be hiring somebody, and then promotion. And then for each section such as this, you're going to create a main content, how often you're going to do it, You're going to do a blog series weekly. The micro content that's going to come out of this is this. And we've decided that for the blogs, that's where we're going to put our social media promotions. And this is just a one-pager because you want to keep this as simple as possible. So feel free to download and use that one. And I'm just going to refresh your memory on how a content marketing strategy works. You've got your goals. Every time you do something, you want to make sure that you have a goal for that content. It supports your marketing goal, which is going to support your business goal. So every time you do something, just create a mini campaign with this. Know your audience, who you're going to target. And we talked about the small patio for the retiree. So this is where it's like, okay, I'm going to do a whole campaign or even a blog series for small spaces. You're going to do 3 blogs. Maybe you do a mini video, and maybe you do a testimonial success story. So that little mini campaign has a goal. It's going to support this. My target audience is my retirees. What do I need to create? I just told you. How am I going to do it? Maybe that's going to be my internal team. Maybe I outsource it. How am I going to distribute it? Well, it's going to be on the blog, but it's also going to be on the email newsletter. It's going to be shared out through social, something like that. And then am I going to put money behind it? And money doesn't necessarily the only way to promote something. It could be if you have staff or influencers, you might just let them know. You might just send them an email and say, hey, can you share with us on your channels as well? So that's a way to use no cost promotions, and then make sure it's do and then repeat, learn, repeat. So key dates. So what's going to inform all of this? When is it all going to happen? We're going to roll right back to your business, not even thinking marketing at this point. What happens in your business? Those key dates that you have to put eyes on, that's going to inform when you're going to do your marketing, when you're going to create your content. So,
sorry, Laura, before you go on to this, for the tactics, we had a question about, is it any different for B2B?
in theory, everything is always the same. So is there a specific question about what tactic for a B2B, or if whoever asked that has an industry they're in?
They're in IT. They're supporting an IT setup, and they were trying to figure out how to apply this for the setup. I guess they're starting a new line of work, and they have new customers, which are new companies now.
Okay, so IT, so tactics. I'm just going to go to the monthly plan rather than going back. What might happen with with IT is that your content, it's just going to be different. So go right back to your audience, know how you can support your audience. So if you are doing IT services, or maybe IT is such a broad topic, but what might happen is your main content could be blog series. Maybe you're letting them know of security, IT security challenges. And then because you've identified the fact that security is something that you're able to support them in, people aren't even aware that they have security problems. And so you want to do a whole series on educational pieces to support them and go, oh my word, I know enough and I can do a little bit, but I definitely need help. And so the whole goal of something like that would be, I'm going to give them basic information to let them know that they can do some stuff immediately. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe you're going to create a white paper or download a checklist where you can collect leads, or it's just simple blog posts. And then what'll happen is and the whole idea of that is because you want to get clients, right? Like that's potentially your goal. So your content, maybe it's the blog series, maybe do a webinar series, maybe you do a series of downloads. And then how are you going to promote that? What's that micro content? So you're going to do graphics. Maybe you're going to do some short YouTube videos. Maybe you do a Facebook Live where people can ask you about cybersecurity questions. And then you're going to promote your blog series through social media. So the whole structure is exactly the same. And it just goes back to, what do you want to achieve for your business? How do you need to reach out to them to let them know what you're offering and how to support them through that funnel? What's that big content that you need to create, and what are those tactics? And maybe a tactic outside of content is going to be a trade show. Maybe it's a virtual trade show. Maybe it's where you get to meet and introduce your product to something. Maybe it's a pitch that you're trying to do to get a venture capitalist. Whatever that may be, you will do your key dates leading up to that and what kind of content. So main content, then micro content, and then promotions. But it's still the same structure. You just have to fill in the blank. I hope that helped. If I don't answer it enough for any of you who's asking questions, feel free to email me, and we can follow up directly with you afterwards, because everything's specific. We have to work through your whole plan, and I am available for afterwards. So these are the key dates for these guys. May 2-4 is the big gardening weekend. We have June, gardening continues. Maybe they have a veggie stand. And then we've identified the slow season. And what I've put on the right-hand side is what that sales and product is going to focus on. So Mother's Day, gifts, pansies, flower arrangements are the key things. Easter lilies. And that gives us insight on what kind of content we're going to share and the kind of products we want to sell. So direct line in Easter, I want to make sure I'm promoting specific sales of products. For B2B, your sales cycle is going to be a lot longer. For this, it's much easier to directly go, hey, I'm going to promote Mother's Day. I'm going to know exactly how many pansies, how many Easter lilies, whatever I sold, and I can start to follow through with that. It's simple and not simple, because you have a lot of transactions, so you have a lot to overlook. For B2B, you're still going to be able to track it because you're trying to sell tickets to a webinar that you're doing. So you're going to look for leads to your traffic to your website. You're going to do things. You're going to see how many people registered, how many people showed up. And then you're going to have a call to action at the end of your webinar and say, hey, if you want to hire my services, you can follow up with me. And you'll be able to follow all of that along, because ideally your sales and product is going to be, you want new clients. So how many people actually signed up and said they signed up because they heard you on your webinar? So that's where you will fill it out a little differently with different content, but it's the exact same structure. Timeline and proposal. So we've just expanded this now. And so now we have the month. What are those things that we're going to do, and when are we going to do it? So here's the events in March. We have St. Patrick's Day. We're getting ready to open. The topic, which is really important, that we're going to talk about is seedlings. There's no produce at that time. The key digital marketing tactics are going to be email campaign, blogs, designing your garden, all of these topic themes. And I've identified I have $500 a month to do this. So this is a structure, a template, an idea of how you are going to propose to get this done and what resources are needed. You may want to add a section for who's going to actually do it. You might extend this table also and say how much money is for content and how much money is for promotion, where I've added this down below and just highlight it in yellow. However you set it up, you just want to have a snapshot, a visual of what you're going to do in each month and how much it's going to cost you. Amanpreet, I think you have a link to this. I did this. I have worked in this industry in the gardening a little bit in the past, so I do have some insights into this. I've done a lot of work in B2C and also B2B, so vast amount of understanding on both levels. But I wanted to give this to you without any names or anything on it. A potential schedule that I had created to give you as an example, and Amanpreet's giving a download link. And so there is a proposed marketing plan and timeline, which is just an overview. And then all I did was put in, this is the kind of work you can expect. Now there's a whole plan and strategy beforehand, but just so that the client knew what was going to get done, what we were trying to achieve on for each month to support their sales, and how much it was going to cost them. So whether you do this yourself, as if you were doing the work, or you hire someone to do it, you will want to see something like this so you have expectations for your digital marketing for the year. And this is something too that was, I think it's part of your template. It's really high level, but it gets you started. It just says the tactics, how frequently are you going to do it, and what month. And it gives you an idea that certain things like your website, it's only going to be done at the beginning. It's a one-time cost. I'm going to only do live Facebook in the middle of the season when it's really busy, and then at Christmas, and then social media ads. When am I going to do this? And high level to put your eyes on the whole year. And one resource, because we did mention that you're going to have some planning resources. I've used this editorial calendar for years, modified it myself over the years for different clients, but it is a starting point. Not everyone likes Excel, but I do find for the planning that it is helpful. And how you build this out, it has overview, analytics, target audience. Use whatever tabs you want, but keeping it all in one place is easy. And you want this to be easy because, as we know, digital marketing takes up a lot of time. So we want to stay as focused as possible so that we can create these tactics and plan everything to get to our goal with as much effectiveness and as easy as possible. So here's an example. I actually built out this just for today, the first month. So what I put in is the themes for each week on the right-hand side, because St. Patrick's Day is week 3, and I don't want to miss St. Patrick's Day. So what social media themes am I going to do for the first week? I'm going to create a video, and I've highlighted it there. And a video is going to be a how-to video, and probably something you would end up putting on Facebook, uploading it natively, because Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those guys, just to let you know, they do prefer and they favor those links that are to videos that are native, rather than taking a YouTube link and posting it into their platform. And that's currently the situation. Things change all the time, but you might make sure you think about things like that when you think about where you're going to host your videos. And then you're going to do a blog, because we said we're going to do a blog every week, which is quite aggressive. Saying that, you might find as you do 1, 2, 3 months, you're going, I can't keep up with this. And then you go down, but consistency is key for content marketing. Actually, digital marketing and overall, it's really important. I have all the themes at the top as a reminder of the things that I'm going to be talking about. And then I've just broken it out week by week. So feel free to use this. I find this a starting point, and I'm going to show you why it's just a starting point. And next, because the next stage for me anyways, and feel free, this doesn't have to be for everyone. And I know internally some of us have used Asana. I've used Asana in the past with other clients to collaborate with, which is why I do love it, because if you do have a digital marketing consultant that you're working with, or social media consultant, or even internal teams that you're building out, having an online tool for collaboration definitely helps with real-time updates. Asana is, and I'm going to show you as an example, and I built this out for today as well. An editorial calendar, and all that means is it's what is getting posted and when is it getting posted, or when is it getting created. So I took that first month from the Excel spreadsheet and I posted it into Asana, and this is an opportunity to have it now look like on a calendar. Just, it's a lot easier in here to see it. So we have one that says, okay, video is going to get published here. I'm going to do a blog and video on the 4th, socials here, the blogs here. And what I found when I went through this process of doing it from the Excel spreadsheet to this, I plugged it all in and went, oh my goodness, that doesn't make sense. If I do the video now, it's actually past the blog when I want it on it. So all you have to do is drag them around and it updates all of your other projects. So if you're a calendar visual person, this tool is wonderful for updating that. And it is free or low cost. I can't remember if all these features that I'm showing you are part of the freemium, but I know their freemium is pretty strong too. So part of this to get to this point is I've created projects on the side. So we have the calendar project, I have a digital marketing plan, then I have a live video and a blog project. I'm going to show you how it all works. So in the digital marketing plan, we have each section for each tactic. So social media is social media in general. And then you just put it in, you put when it's due, and which means when it's going to be published. And know when you put things on the plan, don't worry about having everything here. And I will say, please don't have everything here. This is just your main content, the frame, to make sure that you are consistently updating your content. You will want to have immediate stuff. It doesn't mean if you're out there and you have a really cool shot of a really cool flower, or you're out meeting a client at their job site and you want to showcase the work you've done, you're going, oh, this is great. You can put stuff in real time, and is strongly encouraged to do this. This is your structured content. And when I worked with clients in the past, I took care of their high level stuff, and then their frontline people put it all in and gave that personal a feeling to it. So working together with your team, whether it's a digital marketing consultant, whether it is your management team, maybe it's teams, maybe you have multiple teams around, or you're working on a project with a consultant on a certain project, that all supplements it. But having that structured high level content is where we are right here and doing this. So we plug them all in. And then when you get into the details, this is how the plan gets executed, which is wonderful. So taking this, where to buy seeds and what do you need them for, when you go into more details, you get to tag them. So I get to say what platform I'm going to put them on. And then I'm also going to tag it to the project calendar. So I work out of this project, and then once I tag the calendar, it goes up into the calendar project, and that's when you can view it. If I change it in the calendar view, remember I moved things around, it changes here right away. So that's where the magic of tools like this get to happen. Things get updated in real time. You can do descriptions, you can add subtasks. If I'm doing this and then I have a digital marketing consultant I'm working with, or an employee that I'm working with, that subtask, you can add them to that subtask and they get notified onto their platform. And so this is the next one. So the blog one, why I want to focus on this one is it takes a lot more work, right? Remember, your blog is your macro or your large content. So I'm going to put this in as a task that I want to do. And then over here is the different projects. So I created a project specifically for blogging. So I've added it to the calendar because I want to know when it's published. It's here. And then it's also tagged to blog. And what blog looks like, it's in what we call a Kanban format. And if you look across the top, you can have whatever you want. You can have a list, a board, a timeline, a calendar. You can show progress. You can export these. It's all a lot more that we don't have time to get into. But what I like about the blog, because it's large content, it takes a lot. So when it's just in the to-do section, when I'm just going, I'm in the planning mode, and now it's March, I have to start doing the container gardening tips. I just drag that section over to in progress and then put it into done when it's done. And I can visually watch what's happening when it needs to get done. Now I've also used more sections in here. So I've had it to do where I've had blogs, writing, graphics need to be created, then it needs to be reviewed. Maybe you have staff or something that's going to review it, and then it can be done. You can create as many columns as you want, but showing this as visual, and Asana was created for visual artists, content content creators or software. It's in the digital realm, so they're quite used to this project management style. So that just gives you an idea. We did have a request for people from people that I have talked to, some of my clients, to have a look at Asana. So one of the reasons that this one came up today. So that's your project management. That's managing your whole digital marketing plan. We've created a plan. We figured out those key dates. We created a timeline, large high-level timeline. We put it in each month and each topics. We executed who's going to do what. And now we actually have to share it out on social. So how are you going to actually execute on all of these wonderful plans and promote it and publish it? Hootsuite is a program that you can use where it doesn't work for all platforms. Instagram does not play well with others. They really want you to go in natively. Facebook, Hootsuite does a good job with. And Pinterest, I think they work with now. And LinkedIn is really good, and Twitter. It is free for 3. You'll have to check, but it does have a freemium platform, and then you do have to pay to play on this one. And then they do have reporting. You have to find out what works for you. I am just presenting you ideas. Some people find it's just as easy to go into the native app, which most of them allow you to schedule. Facebook has its creative tool now so that you can actually, Creator Studio is what it's called, so you can go in and do a lot of that yourself. They're starting to integrate more between Facebook and Instagram, so get to know each platform based on your tactic. And how you can do it. LinkedIn does not schedule. Like there's some that do, and I find scheduling really does help with your core content. So find your rhythm, look into different tools, and then see what works for you. And then adapt. You may get in and go, it's just not working for me, and then you'll update it as you feel comfortable. So that is your tactics, and that's your plan. And we're going to get into methods and metrics for tracking your performance. But before we move on, Amanpreet, was there any other questions on that? That was a lot of information. So,
no, I don't see any that have come up.
okay. Everyone knows they get this as a recording. So yeah, you can take that afterwards. So evaluating your methods and metrics, because you want to know if you're getting there, right? You have these tactics that you're doing. You're spending all this money and time. What's working and what's not working? So how will you know if you reached your target or what needs to improve? And what we call those is key performance indicators. They're metrics that are in place to measure your progress, not your final goals, those final metrics that, okay, we sold X amount of dollars, we made X amount, we had X amount of downloads, things like that. There's different indicators to make sure you are moving the needle forward, that you're getting closer to your goal. And a tip is to make sure that you review these regularly. Please put it on your calendar, whatever it takes. And if you're a one-man show, pretend you're a whole team. Dedicate the time once a month at least to go over everything and see what's working and what's not working. Because if you don't, you can spend 6 months and you're going down the wrong path or spending money that you're not getting the results that you need. And nowadays, especially nowadays, competition is steep. We do have the available resources, and things are moving at a fast pace. So keep your eyes on these KPIs. So remember, we talked about the sailboat and your strategy. Just to put this in perspective, I love the comparison, is the strategy is your map. It's that huge map that kind of is going to tell you where you're going to go. Your boat and the sails are what is put in place to help you get there, right? It's those tools, the tactics, and you are the captain. Please always remember that you are the captain of your brand. You need to always oversee it, whether you have a digital marketing specialist, whether you have an internal team. You have to be the keeper of your brand. You are going to be the one that makes sure the compass is working well, all your tools are in place, your boat doesn't have any holes, and you know what's on the map, and you know where you want to go. So always make sure that you are the keeper of that, and that will help you reach your goals. And the methods of collecting the metrics, and the metrics are going to be that, maybe it's kind of like your, it's your map, but it's that first mate or whatever it is that will constantly be informing you of what's happening in your team and where you're going. So what information do you need to know if you're successful? Those are what we call metrics to make sure that we know we're heading in the right direction. Performance metrics are indicating you're on the right track. Those are those key milestone reviews. So you may have these quarterly meetings where you review the strategy, but what are those KPIs that those are indicators? And most social media insights or their analytics are really helpful. You can go in real time and know what audiences, what posts are getting the most engagement, what kind of comments, things are happening like that, always in real time. They always have apps on your phone, like, so you can keep track of those. You want to review those often. How you're going to get that information are the methods, and what did you learn from this information? And that's your insights, because if you just collect this data and you don't know why it's relevant or how you're going to apply that to your business, it's kind of a waste of time. So you gather the information, you look at it, and then you evaluate on how that is helping your business and how you can adapt and learn and adjust as needed. And this is a review of the sales funnel, just to remind you that all of this is all the same and it all works together. So we talked about content marketing. If you missed that, there is a recording that's out there. Great content moves people through the sales funnel, because everything you do, if you can keep in mind that, you'll be able to make decisions on the fly, because you're going to go, oh, they're stuck here in the funnel of the sales funnel. Oh, they need more content. It's all about moving people through the funnel. So awareness is your traffic. Consideration is the leads. Did they decide? And consideration falls into engagement. It's all part of building that relationship and making sure that they're interested in your business. Decision is do they have the information they need to actually make the sale, and do they make the sale? And retention is, are they coming back? Are they talking about us? Do they returning? Are they going to let other people know and refer people to our business? And from B2B, that's really important, is that ability to get referrals. In your digital marketing plan guide is this, and this is a quick reference for you, whether you are a B2C, a garden shop, whether you're an artist, whether you are an IT person or professional services, which we have a few professional services on here, it all is the same. So traffic to your website is one of those key things. If you use the website as the hub, which I truly believe, because the reason is Google Analytics is free and it offers such rich insights, and it gives people, it's the ability to think through the user experience, to always funnel everything, all that information to the website, and then they have the ability to channel through to purchase from you. So measuring traffic is that key to that brand awareness, that top of the funnel. Website traffic, how, if you're doing ads, are they clicking through, or are they just bouncing off and they're not, they're actually just getting through? It's so the traffic point is actually how many are coming through to your website. Do you have subscribers? Search engine results, where are you falling up in that, in Google? How many emails are you actually sending? And that's kind of that output. So that means how many people are subscribing and how many are you actually sending, because that's a metric you want to definitely track. And then how many people have called you from the directory listing? So that is traffic. If you have a directory listing that's out there and said, hey, and the analytics are on there, so that'd be the method. But track things like that that are outside your standard just website traffic. And that engagement piece, remember, part of that consideration, those are the comments, sharing. It's going to give you information, insights for your target audience. Remember, we're going to continue to learn about your target audience. It's going to give you insights about what kind of content is actually resonating with them. You're also going to get comments on blogs if you have your comments open, even like LinkedIn for the B2B people who are on here. The LinkedIn comments, remember, even if you don't have a blog on your website, you might have a LinkedIn do larger articles. And that's where you can share and promote that and how many people are commenting on the larger content that you're putting out there. Feedback on surveys, if that's part of your strategy. Link to more content on e-news. So remember we talked about the email campaign, making sure you have a strategy for each of your tactic. These are the evaluation methods and metrics based on the tactics you decide on. If you find email is not, or e-newsletter is not your tactic, which most people should, but still, it's, if you decide it's not, you're not going to have that metric in there, right? It has to be part of that whole strategy. So if you've sent them the e-news, traffic means this amount was received, then this amount was opened, and then within that you can track what links are actually getting clicked. So then it clicks over to your website or to wherever that is. So that's kind of that funnel, that user experience that you want to make sure you have. So in the engagement world, it's going to be what information are they clicking on that they're finding useful. And page views on your website is going to come through your Google Analytics and how much time are they spending on that page. And that's your tag manager from Google Analytics. You can set up custom events for that to even see how far they've scrolled down. Those are some of the metrics for those. And leads are understood probably more so in the B2B world. However, that is also going to be leads to people getting into your shopping carts. They're going to be people actually landing on your products. Are they bouncing off? I mean, bounce rate actually can go into a couple different sections. You would want to have more information around that. But earned media means that somebody has picked up what you're laying down and they like what you have to say, and that could be the amount of articles that were written about your product. Downloaded content from your website is lead generation for sure for B2B. Did they fill out a form that they want to contact you? Because that's a lead, right? Like if it's coming organically, you want it to almost work like a salesperson for you. So you've done all this search engine optimization, you've done all these social media and the promotion, it's coming to your website because it's the hub, you're taking them through all the way to, oh my goodness, that's really great. What an awesome download article, or what a great product. You've told me about the blog. That product has really great visuals. I really need to buy it. That's a lead. So as it comes through, and the lead will be the ability to be able to contact that person to close the sale, or it's whether the website itself closes the sale. So return visitors to your website is another opportunity, because you can start doing retargeting, right? Because if they've been to your website, they're technically a lead. Doesn't mean they're purchasing right away, but you have the ability, if you set it up properly, to be able to retarget. And then applicants are another opportunity for a lead. And a lead is just someone who has the potential to be a client. So sales, that's that sweet spot. That's ideally why we're doing what we're doing, is we want to make sales. Going back to whether or not it is for the garden company, or they want to generate sales of their product, whether you want to get a client signed up, you have a proposal, they've agreed to hire you, that is a sale. So shopping cart, sales directly from digital leads is because we're digital marketing here, right? You could go out and network and talk to people and close the deal right there. But for the purpose of this is for your digital marketing to make sure it's effective. How much did it cost you to get there? Did you have to put a lot of money out into your PPCs or your social media ads to get there. Always make sure you evaluate that cost per lead, and then even potential event tickets sold. So if you were doing events, that would be within that sales. So, and the retention is going to be a high level metric, a kind of a KPI is going to be that sentiment, right? Because people are going to read different reviews and different comments. And if there's a lot of positivity, when people start to go and do their homework, they're going to go, oh, that's really good. I will, that means that they're probably going to come back as a client, and they're potentially going to be referring others. That's high level. Those are the metrics. Those are actually the numbers that you're going to do. And then the methods is how we're going to collect that information. Google Analytics, if you use that as your hub and or your website is a key thing, make sure you have that little piece of code on your website, because you do need that to start tracking it, and it is free. Google My Business has a bunch of metrics. Social medias, all of those platforms have insights on traffic and engagement. Advertising reports, for sure, it's another section within that. Hootsuite, things like that. Other scheduling software provides insights. Email campaigns, for sure, we talked about if that's part of your strategy, whether you use MailChimp or Constant Contact or what Aweber, there's a bunch of them. They will all have reporting available. Social mention is just another social tool where you can put in your name and actually see what sentiment and traffic is out there. Google AdWord campaigns, set that up because you can do a URL tracking, and if you do that effectively. So you have to think of this at the beginning, because if you don't, you won't be able to set up your strategy, which is why this has to be part of your plan. Because if you go at the end of the year and it's like, well, I've been doing all these ads. Well, you didn't track the URL to know what it was associated with that campaign, because if you do Google Ads, you can actually track them all the way through to see who actually purchased and where they started from. So these are the things why it's so important to have this as part of your plan, and then make sure that you implement them at the beginning. SurveyMonkey is a good way to follow up to see how people are doing. And then in-house, so if you had a place like the garden center, they have point of sale stuff. They have, maybe they track how many people show up through it. Maybe they have someone at the till and they go, hey, how'd you find out about us? And they just have a little tick sheet. It can be so informal like that. If you're a B2B person, when you first talk to someone who just called, you go, well, hey, how'd you find out about me? Well, I found out from this person, or I was just doing an online search and you came up and you're exactly what I need. So all of those things, make sure you think about it and you ask those questions so you know what's working well. And this is an example of the goals for Garden Grows. Always go back to that goal and make sure everything you do is supporting that goal. So the first one was online brand awareness. So here are the tactics on the left. We have the metrics, how many people actually viewed that blog, and then how are we going to find out about that? Google Analytics. And we go down systematically and we figure out for each tactic what metric that we need to look at to know that we're getting closer to our goal. What's those KPIs? Instagram and Facebook, number of followers. Look at that. It directly it correlates to what we initially said in that objective, in the fact that we want to increase Facebook and Instagram followers. This is the goal. The metrics tells me how much I want to increase, right? So it's a little more, it's smart, but the goal is overall, these are the kind of things that we want to know that we're being successful. Sales, checkout, because we're going to increase the number of people found through the store that found us online. We're going to ask about people. We're going to have a tick sheet. Maybe we have a little tablet that someone wants that can click on, hey, 5 stars, and then we do a 5-star and how did you find out about us? And it's a quick thing. You got to make it easy for them. Use technology. In the COVID world now where we don't have as much and things are a little different, you might want to think more about less in-person things that requires more touching. Maybe it really is just a verbal ask at this point, or some online follow-up. Hey, join our newsletter, and then that's part of your welcome. You can always do things like that. So the next goal is, we said we're going to provide resources for people to help them make their decisions. And we're going to have blogs to inform them about that. And we talked about blogs already, and we're going to find out information through Google Analytics, videos. So we have decided as part of our tactics, our content, we're going to create videos. So how many actually did we create? How many views? And then also Google Tag Manager. Number of views gives even more insight. It will tell you, if you do that as a custom, it will tell you how far in. YouTube also has some more robust insights, because they want you to be effective, right? Like they're building out more and more data, and you can see how far in somebody viewed your video. So if you find people are only viewing your 10-minute video and they're jumping off in 30 seconds, something's going wrong. And that's where the KPIs come in, that this would be a KPI, because we don't want to wait to the end to figure out every time they're jumping off in 30 seconds. That means your whole hook at the beginning isn't working, or the content, because you're there, obviously the content intrigued them enough to start the video, but that beginning piece isn't working. So don't wait to the end of the year to update your content. Shift, right? Perfection gets in the way of progress. Please review your KPIs and adjust as needed. Your VIP email list, it's a big one, and you're going to get a lot of information from your MailChimp or third-party provider. So the third one is to improve customer service, and online reviews is what we wanted to do. So we're going to make sure that we talk about this, that we encourage it. We're going to get Google My Business, Yelp, whatever those online reviews are going to be. We're going to measure that to see if we're getting what we need to get. And if there's a lot of negative ones, we want to make sure that we deal with those too, because at the end of the day, marketing only amplifies who you are. It doesn't make you great. And so make sure always, even in light of your spending this time doing digital marketing plan, to help amplify and talk and engage with your clients, and get insights on them too, so you can serve them better. Make sure you are serving them better, that you're giving them what they want. So get to know your clients, but always make sure you take the time to keep making sure your business is great. And that's the foundation for getting those online reviews. It's that customer service, great product, quality, timeliness, that customer service product. It all works together. Messenger chats, who's talking, what are they doing? Make sure you're utilizing and optimizing those so people can reach out to you in the way that you want them to, the way that they want to reach out to you. So try and be everywhere. On that Excel spreadsheet, there is a tab that shows the columns. This is how I've done this. Again, feel free to update it as you want, but if you track every month and then you do a quarterly, it will coincide with your quarterly update, so you will have that information. And only in the left-hand side is all your tactics, and then there's your metrics. So key takeaways. Stay focused. This plan, the whole idea is to put a plan in place so that you can stay focused on those goals and objectives, that you know where you need to go. Do not deviate unless it's a strategic decision based on data, based on situations, whatever that is. Have this digital marketing plan, update it regularly, and use it to stay focused on those on what you want to achieve for your business. Schedule planning meetings, even if it's just with yourself. That's important, because if you don't do that, you will be off working very busy in your business. And we want to make sure when you work on your business, and whether it's your business plan or your digital marketing plan, that you use your time wisely and you use it regularly. So I'm a big fan of the calendar, putting it on my calendar, making sure people are accountable. A lot of business owners do believe that you do need a coach on some level, making somebody accountable, even if it is another business owner in your community, that you support each other and just say, hey, let's get together and virtually, WebEx, whatever it might be, and just let's see how each other's doing, and then making sure that you review. And then that way, I know for me, I used to have monthly strategy meetings. Actually, here we go, milestone reviews to see, and I would meet with my clients once a month, and that forced us all to make sure I had all the metrics prepared for them. We would sit down, we would talk about what's working, what's not working, we'd look at the plan. Yeah, okay, you know what? Something's happened in my business right now. This is really timely. Let's change the topic this month to this, to focus on this. And that way it gave us an opportunity to quickly analyze and adjust if we needed. We never adjusted the strategy on a fly like that, but sometimes the content topics we would. And that would be the marketing ones. Review your sales and business, making sure your marketing is working with your business plan. I recommend quarterly, and then you will want to update your marketing plan annually. Again, these are just generalizations, but comes from years of experience. So think longevity with large content, think evergreen content. If you're going to spend a lot of time building out content, make sure that it is timely, and that fact that you can repurpose this from year to year. So in the gardening company, you know, every year it's May 2-4, there's still the same type of plants. Native plants to our area are not really changing. So if I'm going to do a huge video about native plants and certain designs, I'm going to go, okay, I can keep this for 3 or 4 years. It's still going to work. It's going to build up some SEO around that content, and that's really good. And then I can maybe offshoot some of the micro stuff and make it more updated every year so that it's still fresh. Especially in if you're B2B, if you're spending a lot of time, think about that. If the COVID situation is one example, if you support COVID right now, the whole point is that potentially, so I wrote about how to do digital marketing on my LinkedIn in the time of a crisis. So rather using COVID, the principles will apply whether it's a crisis now or it's a crisis in the future. The whole viewpoint and how I positioned the article was just how do you communicate in your digital marketing plan in a time of crisis. So there was some longevity around it. So doesn't always make sense. You have to think about that, but please try and think, if you're going to invest in something, how it can have a longer life. And it is better to do few things and do them well. I say that one often. I'm sure most of you all know that one. Do, learn, and adapt. Perfection gets in the way of progress. You know, you always have to do it as best as possible, but the whole point of digital marketing is don't wait till it's perfect to get it up there. If you are sitting on a website and you just can't quite seem to get it lined up, or you're not sure if that graphic is just perfect, please put it up. If everything is pretty much in place and you've tested everything, put it up and then start to watch how people are engaging with it. Ask people, well, does this work? Does this not work? Websites now you can update regularly, so change the graphic if it doesn't make sense. That is okay. Do the best you can do, learn and adapt. Automate and collaborate. That's where I find things like Asana or you can use Google Drive. You could use a spreadsheet there and you can share ownership at that point. But either way, find ways to collaborate with the people you need to collaborate with and automate whenever possible. You never give up the human. You don't compromise in that way, but there are so many opportunities to automate things to make your life easier. Know your audience. Keep learning about that target audience. Don't get stuck on the fact that you can't move forward with your digital marketing plan because you haven't filled out each section. Just fill it out best as you can. And as part of your monthly meetings, go back and say, hey, what did I learn? And then you add in a few more notes around that. So it's a continuous learning process with your audiences. Pay to play, but always, always make sure that you optimize your own platform first. No sense in putting money behind something where your page isn't developed or you haven't thought through all of your own stuff, because you have one chance to do it well. And don't let that, it's not counterintuitive to that perfection piece, but just make sure you've optimized things in the best way possible before you start to put money against it. And think beyond marketing. So it's really just communicating in a digital world. Marketing is amplifying how great you're doing, what you have, and how to do business with you. But remember, when you start to put in tactics, How can you leverage them across different parts of your organization? If you have a CRM, a customer resource management tool, is there a way to put your marketing other tools in within your sales tool? Is there a way for customer service? Can they book things like through Facebook Messenger? Hey, not only can they communicate with me to ask me about my product or see when I'm open, you can also book a time with me. So try and find those channels that can be used for multiple things. And a reminder that your website is the hub of everything. And part of the reason is that it's one URL, and that's all people have to remember. It's your address. So mississauga.ca/MBEC is our one URL, and that's all you ever have to remember, because that will go right to our microsite and tell you about all the things that we're doing. I don't want to tell you exactly what Facebook URL I have or Twitter or whatever there. You can go right to the bottom. You're going to find out all my social media for the city, for our small business department. You're going to find all of our programs. You're going to find all our webinars. Everything's there. I just have to tell you one thing, and you only have one thing to remember, and that's what you want your clients. Keep it super simple so that they know that they can get all that information as you update it, and especially now, especially when the economy is changing so rapidly and our situation with COVID is changing so rapidly. The way we do business is changing. They don't want to have to go all over and try and find you. They want to go to one key place. And that way, all of your metrics now can get funneled into that Google Analytics, which is quite robust. So that is the summary. And it takes you right back to the digital, the 7-step guide. Have your business plan first. Make sure you know your audiences, set those goals. Your channels are part of your tactics, right? Those are going to be how you're going to execute on this plan. You're going to create this plan, which is where we are today, right? That digital marketing plan is how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to achieve our business goals? What marketing support our marketing goals? And then how do we know we're successful? And that's all that 7-step guide. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Digital marketing planning, all the best in your planning. And make sure you do reach out to me. You do have my email. And mississauga.ca/MBEC is where you can find all of our upcoming webinars.